build my gallows and build them high. Makes a long time climbing before I die. I want the chance to spit in his eye. Well, they gave me ball, but I can see between to a dusty yard and a long gone green. They call that freedom, if you know what I mean. And I dry my sorrows, but the whiskey's gone. I'm sober as good.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Longbangers. I'm your host, Matty. I'm joined tonight by John. First of all, John, how are you doing?
Aye, I'm good. I'm going to get this out of the way before one of our listeners slaughters me, but I was making a wee bit more progress with the bedroom that I'm in, painting and decorating it. So if I'm in more darkness than normal, that's just because I've had to move the room around.
I think you've just got a grey background behind you, John, and you're just talking pish. But
Aye.
And we're also delighted to be joined by Hibs legend and Skol Cup winner, Keith Wright. Keith, how are you doing?
Hi, good guys. Thanks for inviting me on.
No bother. Thanks for coming on. It's kind of not quite consecutive weeks, but we've had no cup winning legends on the podcast at all, and then two come along at once. In fact, Liam Fontaine's coming on next week, so it will be like London buses. We'll have three in a row almost.
Well, we just work our way through all the squads slowly but surely.
I think we should, John. I think that's the way we should play it. So what tonight's podcast is going to be like, we're going to talk to Keith about his career at Hibs, and then we'll go on to review the game for the weekend and look ahead to the cup game on Sunday as well. So, Keith, I suppose start with you. Signed for Hibs as a Hibs fan. What was that like for you?
That was great. It took a long time to happen, but it was good when it eventually did happen. I was training with Hibs as a 12-year-old to 16-year-old. So I was hoping and praying I was going to get my contract at 16, but it didn't quite work out, and probably I wasn't good enough for Hibs at the time. So when you look back at it, it was probably the right decision. It wasn't good to take at the time, but I think if I'd signed for Hibs at 16, I wouldn't have played for the first team. So when you look back at your career and you realise what I was like at 16 and what I had to do to become a better player, I think it worked out. It worked out in my favour. I went away and got experience with teams in Raith Rovers especially. It started at the bottom of Scottish football to work my way up, and eventually I caught the eye of Alec Miller when I was 26, and that's when it all happened for me.
And what happened then? So did you just get a phone call one day, or what happens when a team like Hibs comes in for you?
It was Dundee actually. Dundee had told me the chairman Angus Cook had said that we're in the championship at the time, the first division, and we had one season where we hoped to get up. Financially, he had hoped the team had got up in that season, but it never happened. So he had to come to me in the summer and says, we'll need to sell you. If the club's going to stay full time, we'll need to sell you. And there's two clubs that are interested, Hibs and Aberdeen. So that was probably right after the end of the season in May. So between May and August, it was trying to sort out. Dundee had told me I was going, and Hibs and Aberdeen were the two clubs that were interested. And I was always wanting to go to Hibs, but just always in the back it was what happened with the year before. Mm-hmm. And the financial situation. So I never thought that they would be able to pay the money to Dundee. But after speaking to Alec Miller and Dougie Crome and Kenny McLean and the plans for the club and Tom Farmer, that was my decision made. I spoke to Aberdeen, but once I spoke to Alec Miller and Dougie and they had told me the plans and how it was all going to get sorted out, then that was me, 26. It was funny how it happened actually, because it was they'd arranged for me eventually agree terms and sign. I was in Dundee at the time, they were in Edinburgh obviously, and they said, right, we'll meet at the Station Hotel in Dundee and we'll get everything sorted. So I didn't have an agent at the time, so at the last minute Alec Miller phoned me and says, right, I'm going to come through with Dougie Crome, Murdo's going to come along for a chat, and Kenny McLean will be there. So I thought to myself, I didn't want to talk to Alec Miller about money. I just want to talk to Alec Miller about how we're going to, what the team's going to be like and how we're going to play. So the Dundee captain at the time, who was a good mate of mine, was Gordon Chisholm. So I phoned Chiz up and I said, Chiz, any chance you coming along and just speaking to the chairman about the money side, we'll get the deal sorted out. And I just want to speak to Alec Miller about the football side. So So he says, no problem. So just when we're getting into the station hotel, Gordon Chisholm says to me, do you know that they might not want to speak to me because I walked out in Hibs last year. I don't know if you remember. Gordon Chisholm was out of contract the year before. And I never knew this. He was out of contract and never wanted to sign him, but he just walked out. So he just told me that as we were walking in the door, and he says, "You might not want to talk to me." And I says, "That's thanks for telling me now." But I says, "Well, we'll need to talk to you now because that's us at the door, and we'll need to get sorted tonight." But so it sort of broke the ice a bit when we arrived, and Alec Miller seen Big Chiz walking in and Dougie Crome saying, "What are you doing here?" And she says, "I'm his agent. I'm sorting a deal out for him." So they sort of broke the ice for they and that's what I wanted to happen. Dougie Crome and Chiz just sorted out my deal. And I spoke to Alec Miller and Murdo about the football side.
That's cracking. And it's mental to think that even back.
That was it. I signed that night.
It's mad thinking even as far back as that Aberdeen were trying to hijack our transfer deals, eh?
I spoke to them, but once I knew Hibs were everything was sorted out, I was only one club I was going to. But that was sorted that night. I signed. That was probably early July. It was right close to the game starting for pre-season. So that was it. I signed then, and from then on, that was me. I got myself. Didn't get a house right away, but that was my mind made up. I was there for Hibs 3-year deal, and that was it. The dream came true at last.
Happy days.
This is a daft question, but see when obviously like transfer deadline day, transfers now, it's a big thing. Like people are tuning in to watch it and whatnot. But the actual act to sign on a contract, did you get a copy of it? A copy of the contract. Have you got it sitting in a frame somewhere?
I've actually got a contract. I'm one for keeping things, and I've got my Rafe Rovers contract, £12 a week when I signed for Rafe Rovers, and I've kept on my contract for Dundee, and I've kept my Hibs contract. I've kept them all. I've got them all in a folder. All the like things like that through my career. I've just kept. So that's all in my attic. Aye.
And the £12 a week, was that more than you got at Hibs as well? Because Hibs weren't they flushing?
No, I'm not going for any less than what I've got.
What was Alex Miller's sales pitch like? You know, he wasn't known for being like the most comical characters, or how would you describe him? Like he was dour, eh? Like that was the reputation he had as being quite dour. So what was the sales pitch like?
It wasn't really trying to sell the club, eh? He was a confident man, eh? And he just thought, I know you'll be if it's us in Aberdeen, I know we're the better team, you're the better club, we're the bigger club. So he was just so confident in his plans for going forward. He was hoping to bring in a big signing every year because of the stadium was getting built as well, and the plans. Dougie Crome was speaking about at that time. It was plans for a new stadium, so that was in the early stages of the new stadium getting built. So it was all plans about that, how they're going to move forward. He'll be bringing in a decent player, a decent couple of players every season. So and Murdo they just come for Dortmund as well. So he had made the big move. And see, to be honest, I was wanting to play for him since I was 5-year-old. So no matter what they were going to say to me, once I knew everything was sorted out, I was always going to sign.
And what was the club like at that time? Because you mentioned the financial troubles that Hibs had the year before. Obviously, like they're well documented. You said you were worried about when you came into the club and saw it firsthand. What were your impressions?
I think it was at a stage where there was players who were on their way out. When I first went in, my first couple of days, Keith Houghton was there, Alan Snedden was there, Neil Cooper was there, but they were on their way out. So it was a sort of transition, different. I think Alec Miller was going to go with a lot of youth players, like David Fellinger, Danny Lennon, Billy Finlay. They were all coming through. So it was quite strange the first couple of days. It wasn't a great atmosphere because these guys were on their way out, and I'd come in as a big signing. So I wasn't made the most welcome, I would say, the first couple of days. But I knew it was a sort of transition. There was players going out, and I was coming in, and players coming for the youth team were added to the first team squad. So after the first couple of weeks, and when he had his squad settled how he was going to go, and then it was good.
And it was quite a big fee that Hibs paid for you as well. Did you feel a bit of pressure because of that?
I did. I didn't think about it a lot, but once the game started, and the first game against St Mirren, we won 4-1, and I just felt the Hibs fans were expecting me to turn up and score every week. So We won 4-1. I never scored, but I'd had reasonable debut, so I felt okay. But I always thought I need to get a goal early just to sort of calm my nerves, and that happened against Motherwell in the second league game. So I think that was important that I did get that early goal, and that gave me loads of confidence. I just felt like I could score goals in this team.
Do you remember the feeling being a Hibs fan the first time that you hit the back of the net for Hibs?
That's definitely my best, not my best goal, but my best, like, most important goal for me. That, and I don't know if you might remember the game at Motherwell. At that game, it was I had overhead kick. I never had overhead kick in my life. I had two great efforts at goal, and Billy Thompson, the big keeper, had two great saves, and I thought, I'm not going to get this goal. But the goal came about with a missed kick into the ground, and it went into the corner of Billy Thompson was sort of caught flat-footed. Didn't expect me to miss kick it. So, but it wasn't a spectacular goal, but it was so important to score that goal, and the Hibs fans were packed behind the goals, and it was good to see them celebrating my goal, and I thought, that's me up and running now.
Billy Thompson was a good keeper. He used to wear the jogging bottoms, didn't he? That's what I mind for, because he was at Dundee United. This is where I show my age now. I mean, Billy Thompson playing for Dundee United rather than
Mirren. I think he started off at Mirren, Dundee United, Motherwell, but he was a good keeper. I think he played with Scotland as well. I think he's got a couple of caps.
Aye, decent. So, I good to beat him anyway for your first goal. And what do you remember of your debut? Like the first game against St Mirren, what was that like? Kind of pulling the strip on for the first time, and
what was it? Was the atmosphere, because that was the first game after the Wallace Mercer and all the sort of talk over the summer, and the club wasn't going to survive, and that was the sort of the first game back after the summer. So the Hibs fans were absolutely packed into Easter. I don't know what the crowd was, but just the atmosphere, it was just sort of a celebration that they still had a team to support, and they got right behind the team. I think it was like, we're lucky we've got a team to support, and I found that when I first came out, and the atmosphere was brilliant, and it's a great performance. We won 4-1 our first league game at the start of the new season. A great performance, and Pat McGinley was different class. I didn't realise how good a player Pat was. He was bombing forward all day. I thought, I'm going to enjoy playing with him, the runs that he made. So it was important. I think it was important we got off to a good start, and that 4-1 victory. Then the League Cup campaign started midweeks after that, so it was just sort of the games couldn't come quick enough for us.
Did you have a sense that the team was going to achieve something that season? Could you tell?
Never imagined I was going to win a cup with Hibs so soon, like 3 months in the door, and you never thought that was going to happen. But just the confidence in each game. We were playing well in every league game, and the cup draw was kind to us with the teams that we got early on. So it just sort of took care of itself, really.
And what was I saw you getting some stick for Budgie last week on Twitter. He was bombarding David Tanner with questions for you. What was he like? He was a bit of a character, was he not?
Yeah, he was good. He took the pressure off me, because I come for the big money fee, and I hardly even got a mention in the press. Well, I got a mention, but when Budgie came along, it was the Budgie show, and I was delighted. Budgie was loud in the changing room. He was a character, and the fans loved his warm-up. So I sort of sneaked in the back door, really. Budgie took all the press and all that. So, but he was great. He was great in the change. He was great. The lads loved him. We trained in at Wardy, and he's just his desire to want to train and get on the pitch first, coming from Newcastle, and last off the pitch, and how he prepared for the games and his stories. I thought he was a good sign at the time as well.
Was it true that he used to train naked now and again? So I'm sure that's a rumour. You hear these things, you think that can't be true, especially a goalkeeper. You wouldn't want to risk getting balls fired at you.
Tam and Joyce. Joyce was working with Tam at Wardy, and they had this sort of like a wee staff room at the back of the changing rooms at Wardy at the school, and we players would arrive first and have a sit and a chat and a cup of tea before the minibus came with all the hampers with the kit. So the young boys would bring the kit. So Budgie was just desperate to get on the pitch that he would get undressed and just be desperate. He would be cracking up because they weren't on time. But he would get Joyce to start throwing oranges and apples at him over the wee couch. He's there with his boxers on, just getting himself warmed up. But it's a true story. Every morning was the same. Every morning, and whenever the hamper came in, Budgie was away. He always had his stuff. Told the boys, got my stuff on top of the hamper, and he was on the pitch. But that's true.
That was mental. What was like if you compare Hibs then to Hibs now, like for setup and everything? How does it compare in terms of like kind of professionalism and all that kind of thing?
But I like Miller made sure everything was done right. You know, nobody could be late, and it's just the surroundings, night and day surroundings. But it was very well organised. Training was organised. Training was good. But my son plays with Hibs. I'm just actually back for dropping him off at Hibs training centre. I'm there quite a lot, and you would absolutely love it if that was in our day. Have that on your walk out the changing room door, and you've got all these 5 beautiful pitches, an astro pitch, an indoor barn, the gym. It's absolutely it's fantastic. That's what a lot of the clubs have got nowadays. But I think it brought up in our way, in a way was good as well, because we were all over the place. We were at Murray House, we were in Warday, we were at Portobello Beach, and I think that made us a hungry team as well. We didn't get nothing on a plate. I'm not saying that they get everything on a plate, but I just think at that time we appreciated playing for Hibs. We trained. We were totally trained, and we done it properly. So I don't know if I agree with everything that they get nowadays. It's on a plate for them, but we didn't know any better. And what we got was a well organised training session every day at different venues. Some mostly good, some were better than others.
What were the training facilities like when you were at Wright and Dundee, and how did they compare to Hibs? Because the story about Hibs obviously was just like as you described it, they were training all over the place up until pretty recently.
I know it was very similar at Raith Rovers and Dundee. At Raith Rovers it was part-time, and it was Beveridge Park. Beveridge Park is the big public park behind the stadium. And it was a walk along the road into the public park, and we would grab an area that was free. Dundee was the same. Dundee is we would meet at the club, and we would anywhere along the Kingsway. There's playing fields on either side of the Kingsway, and the club would book one of the public facilities, so anybody could come and watch every day. There would be people watching training. So it was that thing. That's the way most of the clubs were. I didn't have training centres in these days. But you just got the minibus, and you just got yourself there. And you would arrive at the club first, and they would tell you what the venue was, and that's the same with Hibs. Sometimes we would go to Warday. Other times in the winter it was usually Portobello Beach. Warday was the main place. When I first went, saying that the first year was brilliant because it was Murray House College at Crammond. You know, it's now houses now. But it was a brilliant facility, great pitches. But that obviously got sold right away after a year, and that's when we went to Warday.
So we take you on to the Skol Cup, Keith. You scored in every round, that one, and if memory serves me right, you got a watch for that. You still got a watch?
That's up in the attic beside the pace lamps.
Surely the tax man's not going to come chasing you now.
I know. Can't watch what I'm saying here. No, it was. I didn't realise it was up for grabs. Actually, it was the last goal in the tournament. So we're busy celebrating after the final whistle, and I'm getting interviewed, and then the next time one of the reps came up and just handed me, says that's for scoring the last goal of the tournament. I didn't realise what it was until after I went back in the changing room, and it was this £1,000 Rolex watch.
Happy days, eh?
Decent.
So,
and it's sat in the attic.
You should say it somewhere else now in case there's any dodgy folk listening. It's not in the attic, it's away in a safe location off the premises.
It's a safety deposit box.
It was £160 a year to service it, so I stopped getting it serviced. So it's just an antique now.
And what was the semi-final like? So we played Rangers in the semi-final, and but it wasn't live on the TV, so there wasn't loads and loads of Hibs fans there that night. We went in kind of as underdogs. What was it like in the build-up to that game?
Again, as I said earlier, the form was good. The team was playing really well. We were unbeaten in the league. So I think we were going into a confident team, knowing that Rangers were at that time were a top team. They had a lot of great players. But we were going to go there and have a go at them. That was made clear. And it was a good performance at Rangers. As I said, they had McCoys, they had Mo Johnson, Haitley, full backs, Gary Stevens and Robertson, and so they were a good attacking team. But we got that goal after half an hour, and I don't know. I've heard mixed reviews about it. My mate's a Rangers fan, and he thought we stole the game. But I still, when I look at the highlights, I still think we had a lot of decent chances ourselves, and we didn't just hold on for an hour. I think it was a really good performance, but and deserved it on the night.
What do you remember of the goal?
I remember it was like slow motion. Even when I watch it, I still think Mickey could have got the ball a bit quicker. I says that to him. Why are you just kicking one of these slow motion chips? Get the ball to me quick, and I put the ball in the net quicker. It seemed to take an eternity to get to me, but it was just a wee man. He just had the perfect. Had to chip it over Gorham, who had clashed with Mark McGraw. And because it's coming over that slow, I've had one look thinking one of them, because there's two defenders behind me, one of them's going to come and smash me and challenge me. But when I had a quick look to see it, the two of them had sort of dropped off and went on a post each. It just made my mind up, just a matter of making contact, and that's exactly what happened. I thought one of them was going to come and attack the ball, and one of them would drop on the line. So they made it sort of easier, but I just wish the wee man had put the ball a bit quicker.
Do you think if one of them had come out and challenged you, you would have got the foul?
I would have made sure I had my goals and protecting myself. They would have probably been favourites because the ball's just getting chipped in that slow. I think they've got more of a run at it than me to go and clear it. So
definitely.
It was a surprise that they chose that to drop off.
I think it probably did you a favour the fact that Gorham had come out, because Gorham was at the equation at that point. Like you say, he'd come out and challenged Mark McGraw for the ball. I think if Gorham had been on his goal line, you definitely would have got one of the defenders challenging. But I think they both made up their minds to go and cover the goal.
That was it. Mark McGraw and Gorham had clashed at the edge of the box. So that was why I thought one of them must come in, knowing that the keeper's not there. But all these years later, I'm glad they never.
I can picture the goal. It's just talking about it. I can picture the goal as clear as day. Like watching it, even for the camera angle that it had. It was. I think jumping about the living room.
Some people actually thought Mickey had scored there. Some people had thought he had chipped it straight in, just for the angle. But when you see it behind the goals now, you can see it clearly. It was a chip in the middle.
Definitely your goal. And then, so you got a cup final coming up. What was the build up to that like at the club?
Again, the league forum was you were, for then on, you were wanting to make sure you were in the cup final team. So I think there was an extra spurring in everyone's game to make sure that they were in the cup final team. And unfortunately, Mark McGraw got injured in the build up to it as well. So that was the incentive for the. I don't know how many league games there were between the Rangers game and the final, but that was the incentive. You wanted to make sure that you were part of the cup final team.
And do you remember much of the day, the actual the build up? Could the match day get into the stadium? And what was all that like?
Yeah, the build up, because it was great because at the time Alec Moore decided that we were going to go to hotels to prepare every cup game. So and the players like doing that. They get away and you get training elsewhere away from Wardy. You get training session. You get all the lads get together for a bit banter at night. So and then you're ready to go for the game. But for this cup final, I actually asked the players, "What do you want to do?" And they all decided that just for the cup final, just want to have a night in their own house. So that was the case. Meet at the Maybury roundabout in the morning, and we'll go for pre-match. So it was brilliant. They all turned up. Meet at the Maybury roundabout, got on the bus, and everybody was excited, a bit nervous. Everybody had their own preparation for it. And then we went to a hotel in Glasgow, and the chairman, the board were all there. And I always remember, who was the golfer? It was a Hibs fan, right? Was it Gallagher?
Yeah,
Bernard Gallagher.
Who's it?
Bernard Gallagher.
Aye. He came in and did a wee speech and wished us all the best before the game. And that was it for there. It was on to Hampden, and all the preparation was done.
Was right? I might have got this story mixed up, Keith, but did the clocks go back or what did the autumn fall back? What should be back? Was somebody late or dead early? Gordon Hunter dead early. Would have been an hour early. Aye.
Gordon Hunter stayed his cell in a flat, single boy. So he forgot to change his clock. So he was there an hour early, and he was like he thought he was late, missed the bus. He thought he was late because there's nobody there. He said they're away. So he hung about, and then eventually somebody turned up, and he's like, I can't believe it. I have to write myself here. I think I missed the cup final. But that was Jeebsy, single boy.
There's no mobile phones or anything back in those days. It's not like you could text your mates to find out where it is.
Aye.
It's funny, I was just thinking that when you were talking about pre-match preparation. Obviously, you see players coming off the bus now and they've all got their wireless headphones, and I'm just imagining you guys coming off with the Sony Walkman with the orange sponge.
Exactly. No, see, to be fair, I know who did have that on was Budgie. Budgie's ahead. Budgie was ahead of the game. Budgie used to have his wee earphones in, and it was like, Budgie, you are the number one goalkeeper in Britain. Budgie, you'll get another clean sheet today. me Mickey had took off him at one of the pre-match, and he said, "What are you listening to, Budgie?" And it was, "You are the best. You are number one." And so he was ahead of his time with the earphones in.
And the Hampden was packed out as well. Like, I remember that was the first cup final I remember going to. It was the Skol Cup final, and there was Hibs fans locked out and everything. What was it like walking out the tunnel and just seeing the huge crowd and everything there?
That was a major incentive again for you come out early and you're getting all the introductions to the SFA officials and that's when you really have a good, because all the fans are in at that time. The warm up, they're just all coming in, but when you come out for the game, then you've got that 2 or 3 minutes to look around Hampden. You see 3/4 yet green and white, absolutely packed, and that's when they thought, right, we can't let the supporters down. Look how many's come through, and we had sort of heard that there's actually fans locked out because a lot of them are hoping that their family had got in. Obviously, we had family there, so we heard that fans were locked out. So we can't let these fans down. Just looking around and seeing 3/4 at green and white, and that was a big boost for us.
I think my uncle got locked out of that game. They all went through. Like I say, it was young. In fact, I'm sure my cousin sneaked us a pint in the pub beforehand. Like I was 91, so I would have been 13 or 14. And I'm sure my cousin for the pans sneaked us a pint in the pub before the game, and then I think my uncle Ian got locked out. Maybe my dad got locked out. Memory's no great. That pint must have went to my head.
Many folk have told me I've met over the years all the different stories I've heard, and many folk that have ended up watching it in pubs in Glasgow.
Aye. And what do you remember of the game itself?
First half was probably very nervy. I think the fans there and we know what let them down really got to us a wee bit. Wasn't a great performance. Could have went either way the first half, a couple of half chances, but then the second half we started it really well, right on the front foot, and we sort of played the game in their half for the first 10 minutes of the half, and then eventually we got the break with a penalty. Mickey with his 9.9 dive. So that was like a break. We got a penalty kick, Tam put it away brilliantly, and that once we went 1-0 up, that sort of calmed the nerves, and we went on and played well, and we got the goal near the end just to seal it.
What do you remember of your goal then to win it?
Again, it was Mickey again, brilliant. Gareth Evans actually had won it. I think their left back had got possession, and Gareth had sort of put a tackle in it, broke to Mickey. And me and Mickey had a great relationship at the time. I just knew if a man gets that possession of the ball, I make these early runs. And I look at it, many times I looked at it and I'm thinking the linesman's done well, because it could have been Griezler put the flag up, because it was very close. Because I would just made a run, and I think it was Norrie McCaffrey who was just trying to come out and play offside. So it must have been very close, but
Perfectly timed.
Definitely not. And Andy Gray said that, so go with Andy Gray. So, and then that was that 1-on-1 with the keeper, and again I was confident in these situations that I always just waited and delayed, and the keeper make the first move, and then whenever they go down, you just think it over them, and it worked.
It's properly iconic, the picture of you just, I think it's behind the goals, and it was Andy Rhodes was the Dunfermline keeper.
Yeah.
And just like you say, just dinking the ball over the top of him, you've got the body opened up. Honestly, it's a cracking picture.
It was just, I think we'd scored. We'd played Dunfermline in the league a couple of weeks before it. I'm not sure exactly how long before it, but I scored a similar goal, and I thought, I can't do this again. But there was 3-1-1, and I done it exactly the same. I put it in the same corner. So when that sort of goes through your mind, and I'm going through, I'm saying, but I just delayed it, and then I knew as he's coming out, he's got to make a move. So whenever he went down, it was just a matter of getting it over, just enough to get over his body as he's going down. So
it's funny because we were talking about Christian Deutsch just last week when he was through one-on-one with the Queen of the South keeper, was it?
Aye.
And just like it's such a short space of time, and like you say, you're thinking, I've already beat Andy Rhodes like this. Can I do it again? Or do I try and do something different?
Aye, because I've run for, I think I've had 1 or 2 touches. I've run about 20 yards. In that time, you've got a lot to think about. Different if the ball comes to you quickly and you didn't get a chance to think. But because I'm actually running with the ball, taking a touch, he's coming out towards me. There's quite a few things going through your mind. So yeah, you've got to be sure what you're doing. I feel like I'm getting a coaching drill.
What were the celebrations that like after? So full time comes, obviously Hampden's gone mental. No pitch invasion that day. So you've got the chance to bring the cup out and do the lap on and everything. What was all that like?
That was great. My family were there. My dad was in. That's why I went and celebrated. When I done a wheel to the right rather than go a wheel to the left for the fans. My dad was in the main stand, so that was like I was there for my dad. My dad supported me through all the bad times of getting dropped and released and all that. So that's why I went and looked up to him when I scored. So my dad's no longer here now, so that was the best day of his life.
Aye, a nice touch that. And then they had so when the bus come back to Maybury, there was fans already gathering at that point, and it was kind of packed all the way down to Easter Road. Do you remember much of the journey across Edinburgh?
Aye, we had about 5 cans of Skol Lager in the bus at Hampden, so I didn't remember a lot of it. I wasn't a big fan. No, it was incredible. Just we didn't expect that. We didn't expect to see so many fans waiting for you when we got off the team bus onto the open deck bus. We didn't expect to see fans there, and then just what we've seen right along, all the way along to Easter Road was incredible. And then we never knew because Alec Miller had planned, win or lose, we were all to go back to the hotel where we got a pre-match. We used to get a pre-match. Hibs never had, obviously the old Easter Road, we didn't get pre-match there. So all the games that Hibs had at home in that season, we had to go to I think it's called the Dragonara Hotel then, at the West End. So the Hibs players went there for their pre-match meal before every Hibs home game. So Alec Miller had made a agreement that all the players will go back there no matter what. We'll go back there on the Sunday after the game. So we just thought we were going to head back to there, and then he said no, we're going back to the stadium. And never in a million years did I think the stadium would be full. That was a major shock. The whole stadium was full, and we spent I don't know how many hours spent there. I ended up singing on the mic, and I think it's one about I'm actually singing a Hibs song on the mic in front of I don't know how many Hibs fans at Easter Road, but it was just a great all come out. Alec Miller and Murray with the cup first, and then we just all come out and just like a happy honour. Just seeing what it meant to all the fans. It was brilliant.
I was up in the old, would have been old North stand. Like what's now the West stand. It used to be the North and the South and the Centre stand. Was up in the North there when the players come back. It was amazing. Like that is, I think, probably the first time as a Hibs fan you get to really realise how big a club Hibs were.
Definitely.
I imagine it'd be the same as a player.
Just for the distance between Hibs winning a cup, it was all seemed to be every 20 years. I think they won the cup, was it 72? 71 year, 72. So it was at that length of time again. So it was good to see Hibs fans celebrating.
And what I might think the next game after the cup final. This again, I'm going by memory here, Keith, so I could be talking shite. Hearts at Easter Road was the game after we won the cup.
I think it was.
You scored in that one as well.
Aye, was that 1-1?
Aye, one each.
Aye. It was brilliant. It was brilliant for the fact that the next game was going to be Hearts because the Hibs fans were absolutely buzzing and just sung right through the whole game. So and had the Skol Cup flag up outside the stadium, and I think it was another draw.
Another in the long line. Do you remember your goal for that game?
No. Do you remember it?
Aye. So short back pass. Can't remember who was the
pass.
Aye.
I didn't think that was accurate. I thought that short back pass was my first. That would be the first derby, No, it wouldn't be.
I'm
George Wright gave me a
Short-
short pass.
Aye.
Aye.
You went round-
Sorry, flicked over. I actually took a bad touch, but I said I flicked over Henry Smith.
Aye. Because
And-
what I remember is, and I didn't care if you put your finger up before you knocked the ball in, or if it was just the way your body shape was like to do it. But
No, I did
remember
actually.
in the net.
I did because I took the touch past Henry Smith and it was about 12 yards out because he come flying out. And I had a quick look and Alan McLaren was well behind me. So I actually celebrated before the ball hit the net. Otherwise, it was brilliant to have an open goal at the Hibs end. That's what dreams are made of. An open goal at the Hibs end against Hearts. And I'm celebrating before I tapped it in. It was brilliant.
Superb. And then derbies in general, Keith, what was your experience of derbies? How do you feel about them?
I would have loved to have changed the result situation definitely, but I loved the derbies. I loved going to the derbies when I was watching Hibs. I loved it, just the build up and just wanted to be part of it. So I loved taking part in them. But obviously the record at that time wasn't great, and the amount of draws that I played in, we should have won the game. It was unbelievable. Robbo, I played at Boys Club with Robbo, and he could have been a Hibs player. He could have been, but for him to break my heart so many times in derby games is unbelievable. Either a late equaliser or a late winner. But I love playing them. Easter Road and Tynecastle, great games to play in. The fans are up for it. It's always Hibs fans always thought this is going to be the one.
Always.
It was going to be the one, but we never got there. And eventually we got there. But I think we were a better team that showed in these derbies.
What do you think was behind that? Like, why was our record so bad in that?
I don't know. People say it had won me up for it, but I guarantee you, like we were up for Rangers games, we were up for Celtic games, we were definitely up for Hearts games, and a lot of poor performances. I know that, and you can't put your finger on it, but it definitely wasn't. We weren't up for it because the Hibs and Willie Millers and me, Mickey, and myself, we knew what was at stake and what it meant to the fans, but just for whatever reason, we just couldn't get the right results at the time.
They carried some amount of luck in those games as well. Like, I almost counted the amount of games where you see we were on top. Like, we were the better team by a distance a lot of the time, and then, like you say, Robertson would kind of pop up last minute and get an equaliser or a winner. It was just it was heartbreaking at the time. Like,
it was a lot of the games were like even the Brian Hamilton penalty game. We've absolutely destroyed them 0-0. 0-0, and then we get a penalty and Hammy misses it. Fair play to Hammy. I think Hammy had scored the penalty the game before it, so that's why he was on the penalties. But that game, the Scottish Cup game, is an absolute the Reinforcer game, where again we're thinking we didn't want a replay. We need to win a game here. We're well on top at 1-1. We didn't want to go to a replay because it was replayed at that time, and then they got the part and score.
Had you equalised in that game after Hearts had gone 1-0 up?
Aye.
That was the first time I cried supporting Hibs.
was it?
I scored up in the Hearts end to go
That's
on
right,
up. We're shooting down the whole second half, and absolutely like that's what I was thinking. We didn't want a replay. What you want to hear because we was like so in control of the game, and then it was like a punt up the park. Gary Mackay and Reinforcer outpaced Dave Bowman and scored. That was probably the biggest goal for me.
Because I think Bowman should have brought him down.
Looking back now, you take a red or yellow card from it. I think he fell right after it.
That was a mental game that I remember sitting in. There was a couple of folk in the seats in front of us. It was all season tickets up where we were, and somebody just saying, "I can't believe this is going to go to a replay," because we were that much on top. And the next minute you're out the cup and you're like, "Fuck, how did that happen?" It's just like so typical of derbies at the time. Aye. Do you have a favourite goal against Hearts?
The two summer goals actually. I scored. It was a header across for the left. I think it was. I don't know if it was Mitch or Joe. And I had a similar one at Tynecastle again. I won all game where across the left hand side, and I scored that in the hit at the Hibs end. So two headers against them. I scored a right foot shot against them at the Easter Road. South stand was getting built, so it was empty behind the goals. It was a sort of relegation fight for Hearts that day. 3-1. So I scored a inside right, a ball for the Mickey, and I scored, and I went and celebrated with the Hearts fans to pointing my fingers as if we were going to go down, but never.
Difficult. What was Miller like as a manager, and did you think like at the time that he'd going to win the Champions League?
I was a massive Alan Miller fan because he actually signed me for Hibs.
Aye.
Anybody going to make me sign for Hibs was going to be a hero for me. And I've had probably my biggest spells at clubs has been Dundee and Hibs, and the two managers have been brilliant for me. I learned so much. Jockey Scott and Alec Miller. Alec Miller was brilliant, but I know he's some fans will not like it because of the Derby record. But he was way ahead of his time. Some of the stuff he got training, like sports science stuff at Murray House College, and the pre-season stuff we got, the tests that we got to test our fitness, psychologists coming in to have meetings just talking about your sort of mental side of the game. He was really ahead of the game, and I can see why when he goes to Liverpool at Rafa Benitez and Gerard Healy, he wouldn't have known him. But when he's went in there and I think he started working as a scout for them, and they soon got him away for the scouting role into the changing room. So I think that's top guys in European football that have recognised that he's probably more worthwhile being in the changing room than being a scout. So, but I think his Derby record put against a lot of the fans liking him.
Aye, it's definitely tainted how folks saw him, but I suppose that he won a cup with Hibs, and there's no many managers can say that they've done that. So, aye, fair play to him. Just to kind of wrap up this segment before we talk about the game for the weekend, Keith, just a kind of couple of quick kind of answers for you. Who was the best player that you played alongside at Hibs?
A lot of good players. I was lucky at Alec Miller said to me when he was going to sign a lot of good forward players, and Michael O'Neill, Mickey was there obviously before me. Ken McAllister, Pat McGinley, a lot of good players, a lot of players who I felt could have played at a higher level as well. Michael Wendon South, but Darren Jackson was the best for me. Darren was brilliant. Darren was tucked in his link-up play. You could finish for the edge of the box. You could play in wide areas. You could run. I've seen him dominate midfield in many a game. So Darren was the best for me.
Aye, he was. He almost between him and Jim Layton, I think, almost single-handedly kept us up. I think they were incredible for him. Darren Jackson he had a couple of seasons at Hibs where he was outstanding. That's quite a good shout, that one. Was your last goal for Hibs at a playoff game?
Aye. Jim Duffy had come in, and to be fair to him, Duff was my captain at Dundee, and I got on great with him. He was good for me, but when he came to Hibs, he had been honest with me and told me I'll not play much. He said that he thinks that he's got to get a new group of players in, which is probably fair enough. He said that he felt a few years had been there long enough. So I never played probably the last 7 or 8 games that season, and then for out the blue, he put me in the playoff final. I didn't think I was going to get a game, so the 2 games against Airdrie, they won the games I was wanting to finish my career on, but it was just to make sure that we didn't go down. So I managed to score a goal in the second game just to seal the victory. So it's not something I never celebrate. I didn't even talk about it, but that was my last game for Hibs, and it was a goal that sort of saved us going down.
Oh, sorry for bringing it up. Airdrie were a right nightmare team in that era as well, weren't they? Like they were bastards to play against. So it was like you'd have Hearts and Rangers, and your next level was Airdrie for just teams that like the fans hated them, didn't they? What would they like to play against?
Oh, they were. To be fair, Alec McDonald, he had them working their socks off. They just went man for man over the pitch. They all seemed to have a man each, and that's it. They just made sure that who you're picking up doesn't play well against you, and that's what they done. They were difficult to play against, and they got a lot of success there. They got the cup finals. They went to Europe, so they weren't pretty on the eye to watch, but they done their job, and they were. And you say Hibs, we always struggled against them.
Aye, they were always like teams that they stick in my mind for going to games at that time and just like, You just used to give me the rages, kick you up and down. That was what the games were like.
I remember thinking when we got Airdrie in the playoffs that was probably the worst that we could have got. Like, I thought we might have gone down. But then Jim Duffy phoned up Keith Wright and the rest is history.
I was like, the named the team that day, because they never even like told me I was playing. It was totally out of the blue. But I don't know if there were injuries or what happened, but unless you just want to blame me if I went down.
He's probably realised who he'd signed for what have I done.
What a chance, eh? He was looking for a scapegoat and then he was able to take the credit when you scored.
No, that's it. It was my fault if I went down, but I worked it out.
And the cup winner side, what was your highlight for playing with
Hibs? Just playing for Hibs. That was it. That was it. It took me a long time to get there. 16, I left. And I love my 6 years there. Every game I played, I love going every day to train. And I say the Motherwell game is high on the list for scoring my first goal.
Brilliant. Right, Keith, that's been amazing. I'm just kind of looking at how long we've been talking, and I was like, bloody hell, that flew by. Really appreciate that. So we'll look at the weekend's game, the 2-1 defeat to Rangers. John, come to you first. What was your take on the game, mate?
Just disappointing. And I was trying to work out exactly what way I was disappointed, and I think I've come to the conclusion that I was disappointed because we were so close. Like, just a couple of things going our way, a couple of things just happened differently, and it could have been a much different result. And it's just like, I think that's been the case 3 times this season. Well, 4 times now, sorry. Just been like running them close every single time. And I think that was probably the closest that we've run them at the weekend there. And
Josh,
just didn't get the result.
Josh and my son Keith, he's a coach just now, so he's just 17, turning 18, so he's just kind of starting out as a football coach.
Right.
He says that his observation for Jack Ross is he kind of tactically had worked out how to play Rangers, but we were just missing that wee bit of quality. I don't know if you would agree with that assessment or.
I think we're saying there, we've run them close, and they're the champions. They've proved what a good team they are. So that shows you how well we've done against them. And I think Rangers know they're in for a game when they play against Hibs. But no, I think 1 or 2 things we against that was at the weekend there. It was big factors.
Definitely. I mean, John, I'll come to you because again, you can't talk about the referees, so we'll not ask you to comment. But John, the biggest moment in the game, I suppose, apart from the goals, was the goal that was disallowed. The
goal that never was.
Aye. Tell me why it was disallowed.
I honestly can't tell you. The cynic in me thinks that you're going to see if that goal was disallowed, and it's presumably for the Porteous challenge, the Neil Lennon quote marks there again. If it's for the Porteous challenge on Helander, then I think you're going to see more and more defenders getting protection like goalkeepers do in the box. Because it seemed to be a minor, even if it was minor at all, coming together. It looked to me like Helander's felt some sort of contact and he's just tumbled over. And the referees just obliged him for it as well and ruled out the goal. Somebody
likened it to Stokes' second goal, Stokes' second goal in the cup final, where he gave Tavernier just like a wee nudge to win the header. And the Porteous has done the same to Helander, but he's just kind of crumpled. Frustrating to get a goal disallowed like that. I don't know, Keith, did you ever, in your playing days, have a perfectly good goal chopped off that you remember?
Can't really remember, but just as we're saying there, I think you're right. Goalkeepers got a lot of protection, and I think that's the same there. If players are going to go down as easy as that, and the rest are going to fall for it, so we're going to see a lot of goals getting disallowed then. So I thought it was very soft.
Aye. The first goal that Rangers scored, John, there was a bit of criticism on the radio for Marciano. He saves a header coming in, and rather than knocking it out wide, which is what the criticism was for the pundits, he sort of knocked it back into the centre of the goal.
Who were the pundits?
Good question. So on the radio, Chick Young, Mikey Stewart, I want to say.
I don't know who it was.
I had to take my daughter to the train station at half time to the bus station. So listen to it, because I had to notice when I watched the goal, I didn't think anything in Marciano. I think he made a good save just before it. I didn't really kind of consider that he could have knocked it wide, but they were maybe slaughtering them is taking it a bit far, but they were really critical in the
So
radio about it.
Chick Young's probably played as much professional football as I have. Mikey Stewart, he's obviously pretty opinionated, and I don't know who it was that said it, but like the ball's come in at pace, like Barisic has properly whipped it in, and I don't know who it is that gets the header on it, but it comes off him at a rate of knots. And Marciano, I think, has done well to get down and get hands on it. Never mind start talking about pushing out wide or whatever. It's one of those wee pernickety points. You'd love him to push it wide because that's the attack over and done with. It just so happens that he hasn't. But I think we've had opportunities after that to clear it and perhaps mark Rangers players better than we did.
I can't remember if it was Hanlon that kind of gets the first clearance away and then it comes back into the box and it's a good finish for Rebo, to be fair. He takes it with a good bit of technique.
Yeah, took it well, to be fair, yeah.
Aye, I mean, Marciano Ding's got any chance to save that. And then the second goal, so Keith, as a player, it'll be interesting to get your take on it, because on Sports Scene, Bartley and Richard Foster were a bit critical. I think it was Newell and Gogic for showing Kent inside. And then he's obviously taken a shot. But I was looking at it and going, see if, obviously I've played as much football as Chick Young has, John. I'm quite happy with a player shooting for there, because Kent's had a couple of goals in the game already that have gone wide for similar kind of distance, and you're thinking, if he's shooting for there, he's got to catch it perfect for it to go in. And just so happened, he did catch it perfect. But I don't know, Keith, what do you think about that? Would you have been...
Nah, see, when I seen it, I thought the defenders, I know what you're saying, it was a fair bit out and you'd think the keeper would save it, but I think the defenders could do better. I think they go out there and they press with a purpose. I think they go out there and it's sort of half-hearted and Kent just quite comfortably gets his strike away. I think they could put more pressure on the strike, but again, I didn't get a great view of it, but I thought that Marciano could have got to. I don't know if it was right in the corner, but I would blame the defenders no going out with a purpose and stopping the shot in the first place.
What was your take on it, John?
Similar, like I'm kind of thinking to begin with, it looks like Kent's running parallel to goal, and I think it's quite difficult to get a shot away in that scenario, but he's actually worked himself a wee bit an angle as he's come in for the right hand side, and as Keith says, Newell and Gogic have just kind of allowed him that. And looking back actually at the first goal, I thought that Gogic had maybe been caught ball watching, because you see him kind of run back into the box and he makes that sort of last ditch effort to try and stop Aribo getting the shot away, but he's already got plenty time and space to get the shot away, and it was maybe a little bit similar with the second one, but obviously I don't know if it was zonal marking, I don't know if that's anything to do with it, because Kent's coming in for the right hand side, he's in front of Newell, he carries on, he's in front of Gogic, who is it that picks him up there?
John, what are you talking about zonal marking?
I'm just trying to kind of open up the conversation a wee bit for the listeners who understand these things more than I do.
It was like they were right. They were passing them on. Once they were showing them inside, so right, that's me. That's my job done. So it's on to the next one. But I just felt that when Newell and Gogic just could have went out with a bit more about them and forced them into not to get that clean strike away.
Just narrow the angle or cut off the space a wee bit, and he doesn't get that shot away. It's not quite as comfortable for him.
I thought 2-0 flat Rangers, so when they went 2 goals up, I didn't think they were 2 goals in the game better than us. At that point, I was sitting looking at it going, how's that happened? Because I thought we were right in the game at that point, John.
I mean, with the first one, I thought with them having a goal chalked off for offside, I thought we got happy feet a wee bit in defence after that, and that's contributed to the goal. We just seemed to lose our composure just a wee bit. And the second goal, again, I think the goals that we've conceded against them have come pretty cheaply. And I think that's what's, disappointing and frustrating about it, because it's just little improvements would go a long way to changing the result of the game. It's funny, actually, just we Keith mentioned them before about, the shot for distance for Kent and putting it in the corner, because Hibs had a couple of shots. And before that it was Boyle and Nisbet, and we'd worked ourselves into those positions, and I would have liked us to be in the box and having those shots rather than being 18, 22 yards away. So I know you're right. Like we played good football. Like at times, just found ourselves more on the edge of their box rather than inside it when we were getting the opportunities.
Aye. And Nisbet's goal was a cracker. So there's again a header against Rangers. Keith, you're no stranger to one of those. What did you think of Nisbet's goal?
No, they're great. I didn't think he would get as much on it. You know, it was a sort of glancing header, but he's got a good bit on it. It's a great finish. Just coming across the defender and putting it in the opposite corner. I think that put McGregor off. I think just with the angle he's coming at, he would never get a cross onto the back post, but he's got a good bit on it. It's a great finish.
Is that what you would have done?
I would have tried to do that, but as I'm saying it, I think it's written there a fair bit, and it's got a good connection on it. Usually a glancing header is not so much on it, but he's got right across the defender, and McGregor's who's a good goalkeeper. You'd expect him to save that type of header going across him, but because there was that much on it, it was a great finish.
What did you make of the season that Nisbet's had?
I think up until the sort of the transfer talk, I think that did, and obviously he's had personal problems. I think he started off his career really well. I think Jack Ross has managed him well, and he's let him put him out the sort of the limelight for a few weeks. But I think he's come back and he's looking sharp, and he's looking like he's going to be a really good signing. Perhaps how long we keep him for, I don't know, but I think he's got a lot of good attributes to go and be a top player.
Sorry, bye. When you go,
I was saying he's better playing up alongside Deutsch.
I think it suits him. I think he's better than the two. I think he makes a lot of good runs. He can make runs into the channel, but he's also a good finisher as well. So I think to sort of share the workload, and so he gets his fair share of finishes as well. I think it'll suit him.
I was speaking to Dunfermline fan, one of my daughter's dads, because we stay in Dunfermline, so we meet quite a lot of Dunfermline fans, and he was saying that Dunfermline have struggled this season. They never managed to replace him. And what he said about Nisbet wasn't just like his goals, which are obviously important, but his ability to play everybody else in. Like he's really good at just taking the ball on the turn and finding a pass, which I hadn't obviously had to pay attention to him when he was at Dunfermline, but I'm quite impressed with that. And I think, like you say, Keith, he does make good runs and links up well with Big Deutsch.
I think it's a good partnership.
Aye. John, what were you going to say there?
I was just going to say that Keith had mentioned at the start of the podcast that you were released for Hibs when you were 16 and then you dropped down the divisions a wee bit. And it occurred to me that Kevin Nisbet's had a similar career trajectory to your own, so I wonder if we're going to get 6 years out of him.
I hope so.
Aye.
I hope. No, I think that's a great. Like that's the best thing that happened to me. And I think if you go and prove yourself and you can score goals at a lower league, I got challenged all the time. I went for Rafe to Dundee and I scored goals, and I went to Dundee to Hibs and scored goals. I think it's that challenge, and I think he's got the capability to do that. He'll keep getting challenged, and he'll keep raising the bar with his performances and his level he'll play it. I think there's a lot of good attributes in him.
And he's got a cap as well. He's got his first international cap, and you got your first cap at Hibs as well, didn't you, Keith?
Aye, I got 92. Just after the cup final season against Northern Ireland.
You scored in that game?
No, Alan McCoy 1-1. Alan McCoy scored front post header.
Aye. Good to see you play for your country away. There's no many folk can say that.
Oh, that's another thing. I thought I was a million miles away. Getting released at 16, who would have thought I would get on international scene as well? So definitely that's in the attic with the pay slips and the watch.
Yeah, you must have some size of an attic.
So the game finished 2-1, and I suppose on reflection, John, all 4 games against Rangers this season, we've run them close. I don't think, and I include Celtic in this, I don't think another team have run Rangers as close as we have this season. Do you find that encouraging or frustrating?
Both. So I did my usual put together a wee spreadsheet, and I was having a look at results and goals and stuff, and Rangers have only conceded 11 goals this season, and they've only conceded now 3 at Ibrox. So 3 of those 11 goals that Rangers have conceded have come from Hibs. The other team that have scored 3 against them are Motherwell. We've scored more against Rangers this season than Celtic have. So there's a lot to be encouraged thereby. When we talked about resources and the value and the ability of players that we're up against. Like, there is a lot to be encouraged by, and I think, to go back to what Josh had said about working out how to play against Rangers, and we'd had that chat with Calvin Charlton as well. Like, there's obviously a lot of work going on behind the scenes to try and eke out as many advantages as possible. It's just that little bit that's missing. So there's like I said, it's equal amounts encouragement and frustration for me, but still always got that eternal optimism in mind.
Aye. Okay, it's funny you mentioned the resources there. So this is me being, like I said at the start, Keith, like we're a couple of curious idiots. When you're playing a team like Rangers, right, who spend millions, and then you look at what Hibs spend, do you, like, are you aware of that when you're going up to play them? Do you can, right, this is our expensive team we're up against, it's full of really, really good players, and does it affect your mindset as you're going into the game?
I think, well, I know I've listened to Jack Ross talking a few times, and I've heard him at a few coaching seminars. He does a lot of talks when he was the Sunderland manager, and I think he's so switched on it that every team they play against, that he'll have some weakness that he'll try and work out how they can get success from. And the price list the players goes out the window. See, once you're across that line and you've got a task where every team will have a weakness, and obviously the better teams, Rangers, have got a lot of strengths, but I'm sure Jack Ross is clever enough now when they play against the top teams that they'll have worked on it Monday to Friday to go and exploit certain positions, and I think Alec Moore was the same. So no matter who we're playing against, we've always had some sort of game plan that we try and get success.
Was the game plan ever just kick them?
Yeah, that was the every game's.
Right, just to wrap up then, we've got the cup game on Sunday now, so that got moved for Saturday to Sunday, where we're away to Stranraer. Keith, do you have fond memories of the Scottish Cup at all?
I'm unlucky with Aberdeen, 2 semi-finals. Aberdeen 1-0 at Tynecastle, we got beat, and that was another one of these games that it could have went either way. Scott Booth scored early in the game, and I've had 2 or 3 good chances in the game. I remember that game, and then Celtic went to a replay 0-0 the first game, Friday night at Ibrox.
I was at that one. I minded that.
So that was the two semi-finals, and the Scottish Cup semi-finals we had definitely winnable games. This wasn't it to be.
Peter Grant punched Darren Jackson in that game.
Is that right?
Aye, and he got away with it as well. Fucking shockeroonie, yeah. It was
Darren got off any opposition player.
So predictions then for Sunday. You see us having any problems, John?
Nah, I don't think so. I think if we play the way that we've played in the last couple of games, we shouldn't have any difficulties at all.
Scoreline?
2-0 Hibs.
And who's scoring?
Nisbet with a double, because he's back in amongst them again.
I'm writing this down. They came by, I'm writing it down. We will never refer to this again. Eh?
I know, it's not like you're going to pull me up for it later.
I think I take notes then. What a lot of shite. Keith, what about you? What's your prediction?
It's just again, it's one of the ones that's it's a professional job required. It'll not be easy at Stranraer. I don't know if they've been to Stranraer, but it's quite a tight park. But the way Hibs are playing, I would agree, 2 or 3-0 victory. So that's a great opportunity. Again, you didn't want to look too far ahead, but I think it could be Motherwell in the next round as well. So massive at stake to win this game to play Motherwell in the quarterfinals.
Is it Motherwell or Morton? And then, of course, with Rangers and Celtic playing each other, you've got at least one of them gone out. So there is the potential there for a decent run to the final if things go our way. Yeah,
no, it's one of the ones that Jack Ross will be saying to him, the professional job, make sure that we're all focused and we're a better team. But we've seen it happen before, eh?
Aye.
In these games, but I'm sure they've got too much, have too much in this bit. I agree with John, this bit. We'll hopefully get on the score sheet.
I had a spell where I lived in a wee place called Cairnryan, which is just about a mile outside of Stranraer, where I was working on the ferry from Stranraer to Belfast, and I fucking hate Stranraer. place. It was the worst time of my life. Like I have nothing nice to say about it at all. So I hope we go to an absolutely pump them.
But a few midweek journeys on my race days to Stranraer. And the midweek's not the best place to go.
Miles for anywhere, and I'm sure, like, if we've got anybody from Stranraer listening, I apologise. I didn't really mean to be offensive, but I reckon it's probably the peak of inbreeding in the UK. Like, there's no a normal looking person there. Can you go around and you see some? You want to see a nightclub in Stranraer? It's the least friendly place you will ever go. And the weirdest, it's like the cantina out of Star Wars.
Oh, I was in a really strange nightclub near Loch Lomond a couple of years back, and I just assumed that Loch Lomond, because it's like Scotland's kind of jewel, if you like, that everything would just be dead nice, and it wasn't. No. Didn't ever go.
I think you miss these things, like if you're from like a big city like Edinburgh or whatever, and there's a big mix of folk. You carry as many beautiful people as weirdos, and it's all fine. It's like a nice mix. But when you go to some of the weird places, there's fewer of the beauties.
Not as much to balance it out.
No, I never thought I'd be mentioning that on the podcast anyway. But my advice to anybody is don't go to Stranraer. Anyway, that's us. We'll be back on Thursday, John, for short bangers. So if you're listening, send us your questions on Twitter. We've also got a new Facebook group as well. So send us questions on there, and I'll try to remember to look when we give out the questions. And then we'll have quick bang on Sunday after the Stranraer game. Keith, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. I really, really appreciate you taking the time out tonight to join us. I hope you've enjoyed it as well.
Thanks very much, guys. It's been a good chat. Just looking back at the good old days.
Aye. Well, nice to see you. Don't be a stranger. We'll have this podcast up tonight, so I'll send you a wee link to it so you can have a wee listen back if you're mental. Right. Thanks for coming, John. Thanks. Thanks for listening, guys.
I'll speak to you later. Bye.
Cheers, Keith.
Yeah.
On the Dry County line, I pledged upon. Well, they trailed me down when I broke free. I drank all the whiskey in town.